Men who used to be creepy towards women. What made you stop? I thought my girl best friend was in love with me until the cops showed up to my door. Back in my first year in college, I met a girl during orientation week that I became absolutely obsessed with. I signed up for all the welcome events that she was going to, and I even requested to switch dorm buildings so I could dorm in her same building. Her, and I got to talking, and I swore that her and I had something special. I wanted to be with her 24/7. I almost even changed my major to hers because I wanted to be in all of her classes. I followed her on Instagram, and when she followed me back, I slid up on all of her stories and deleted all the pictures I had of my girlfriend. Yes, I'm ashamed to say it, but I had a girlfriend during all this who was still in high school. I thought that I was so in love with this new girl that it had to be destiny, and I was willing to drop everything and everyone for her almost all of the time. I would be the one who asked her to hang out with me, and she would always try to get out of it. But I knew she was just playing hard to get, so I kept insisting that her and I would hang out. I would meet her outside of her classes, her dorm, and sit across from her at the dining hall. I wanted her to know that she was fighting back fate, and if she gave me a chancer, and I could be something special. But still, nothing was working. One of her friends came up to me and told me to leave her alone. But I heard about this before. Every pretty girl has an ugly best friend that always tries to drive a wedge between you and the love of your life because she's unable to get her own man and doing that gives her satisfaction. I paid no mind to her and kept persisting for Fines Hit to give me a chance. I would leave cookies in front of her door and even made my own bouquet out of the flowers I picked out of school's parking lot garden. I didn't understand why she kept avoiding me. To me, everything I did was proof that we had something special. I saw the signs everywhere. The way she looked down when she saw me waiting outside her classroom, how she always tensed up when I sat at the table next to hers in the dining hall, how she rushed out whenever I appeared unexpectedly in her dorm hallway. If she really wasn't interested, why didn't she just say it directly? It was obvious that she was just confused, trying to hide what she truly felt. Some girls are like that, right? They don't want to admit they like you because they're afraid of looking too easy. I just needed to be patient. I started writing her little notes. Small, discreet ones. Simple things like, "You looked beautiful today," or "I think we understand each other in a way no one else does." I slipped the notes under her door at night when I knew she was in her room. I imagined her picking them up in the morning, smiling to herself as she read my words. When I found out the Wi-Fi password for her dorm building, I started sitting on a bench outside, using my phone and waiting for a chance to see her. I wanted her to notice that I was always there, that I was devoted to her. One time, I followed her to a cafe. I sat a few tables behind her and just watched. She seemed nervous, fidgeting with her phone and looking around. When one of her friends showed up, I almost laughed. It had to be that same annoying friend who had tried to drive me away. I saw them talking, and a few times, her friend glanced at me. I wondered if she was confessing that she liked me, but was too scared to admit it. I needed to be sure. So later that night, when she left her dorm, I followed her. From a distance, of course. I didn't want to scare her. I just wanted to protect her. She had no idea how dangerous it was to walk alone at night. If anything happened, I would be there to save her. I felt like a hero. But nothing happened. She just went to a small store, bought something, and walked back. I kept watching. I started noticing patterns. When she studied in the dining hall, she always picked the same table near the window. So I started getting there first and sitting at the table next to hers, hoping it would encourage her to talk to me. When she went to the library, I sat nearby and pretended to read. Sometimes I even picked up the same books she did, just to try and understand her mind better. I wanted to be the perfect guy for her. And then I did something that, at the time, seemed completely logical. When I found out which laundromat she used, I started going there too. One day, I saw her leave right after starting her wash. I waited until she was gone, then walked over. I took a piece of her clothing and kept it. Just a hoodie, nothing more. But I wanted something that smelled like her. I took it home and slept with it. That's when I realized I needed more. I needed her to admit what she felt for me. It made no sense that she kept running, making excuses, ignoring all my efforts. I was there, always present, always showing how much I cared. She just needed to stop fighting the inevitable. So I started to escalate things. I memorized her schedule. I knew exactly when she left her dorm, when she had lunch, when she returned from the library. I started getting ahead of her, arriving at places before she did. No matter where she went, somehow, I always managed to be nearby. One night, I stayed outside her dorm longer than usual, watching the light from her window. I could see her silhouette moving inside. I wondered what she was doing. Was she thinking about me? Reading the notes I left for her? Was she finally realizing that fate was bringing us together? The next day, I decided to be more direct. I took advantage of a moment when she was alone after class and approached her. As soon as she saw me, I noticed the tension in her face, but I ignored it. She needed to understand that this was real. "You need to stop running from me," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "I know you feel the same way. You're just afraid to admit it." She took a deep breath, nervous, avoiding my eyes. I don't know what you're talking about," she murmured, trying to step away. I grabbed her arm, not hard, just enough to keep her attention. "Of course you do. I see the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. I know you feel something." She yanked her arm back and stepped away, visibly shaken. My chest tightened. Why was she reacting like this? "Look, I don't want anything to do with you. Please, leave me alone." Those words felt like a punch to the gut. She was lying. She had to be. I saw her friend approaching from a distance, and without another word, she rushed toward her. They started talking quickly, and I could feel her friend's hateful glare directed at me. I stood there, frozen. So that was it? The influence of that disgusting friend again? I felt anger rising in me. How could she let someone come between us? I was trying to help her see something that was obvious, but she kept running. I decided that she needed a bigger gesture, something that would make her understand once and for all. That night, I left a special gift at her door. A small, neatly wrapped box with a handwritten note. "You can keep denying it, but I know the truth. You belong to me." Inside the box, I placed the hoodie I had taken from her laundry. The next morning, when I woke up, something fell off. My phone had several messages from classmates asking if I was okay, if something had happened. Before I could understand, I got a notification. The university administration wanted to see me immediately. Still confused, I headed to the office. When I entered the room, the coordinator gave me a serious look. Sitting next to him were her and her friend. My dream girl wouldn't even look at me. Her friend, however, stared at me with pure disgust. "Do you know why you're here?" the coordinator asked. I shook my head, still unsure. "I have no idea." He sighed and slid a document in front of me. It was a formal complaint. Harassment. Invasive behavior. Stalking. My head started spinning. "This has to be a mistake," I murmured, looking at her. "You know I would never hurt you." She said nothing, just lowered her head, her hands trembling in her lap. Her friend, on the other hand, leaned forward furious. "Do you have any idea how terrifying you've been?" she spat. "Leave her alone." I let out a nervous laugh. She doesn't want me to leave her alone. She's just scared to admit what she feels. The coordinator slammed his hand on the table. "Enough. Your behavior has been unacceptable. We have received multiple complaints about you following her everywhere, leaving disturbing messages. This is harassment." My stomach dropped, but I just wanted her to know how much I care. I tried to explain. Her friend laughed, but it was a cold, humorless laugh. "That's not caring. That's obsession. It's sick." I looked at my girl, hoping she would defend me, hoping she would say it was all a misunderstanding. But she remained silent, pale, refusing to meet my eyes. I wanted to scream. Why was she doing this to me? I had done everything for her. I opened my mouth to respond, but the coordinator had already made his decision. "We will be contacting your family and evaluating disciplinary action. If this continues, we will be forced to involve campus security." Security. They were treating me like a criminal. I couldn't believe it. I was forced out of the room, my mind racing. How had this happened? How had it gotten to this point? She said nothing. She didn't defend me. After everything I had done for her, she had turned against me. She needed to understand that she was making a mistake. This wasn't over. Weeks had passed since that humiliating meeting with the university administration. I was still furious. After everything I had done for her, after all the chances I had given her to admit what she truly felt, she kept clinging to this lie. She chose to side with that disgusting friend, to make me look like some kind of predator, and now everyone treated me like I was dangerous. But deep down, I knew she missed me. She had to. I started avoiding the places where we used to run into each other, just to see if she would come looking for me. But nothing happened. No message, no glance in my direction. She was trying to convince herself that she could live without me. Then one day it happened. I saw her. She was sitting on a bench on campus, laughing. But she wasn't alone. He was there. Some guy I had never seen before. Tall, with that messy on-purpose hair, wearing casual clothes like he was effortlessly cool. He was sitting way too close, laughing at whatever she was saying. She looked so relaxed, so comfortable. My blood boiled. Who the hell did he think he was? Sitting next to her, acting like he belonged there? My mind started spinning. She was doing this on purpose. It was the only explanation. She wanted to hurt me. She wanted me to suffer. She wanted me to react. Rage swelled inside me like an uncontrollable fire. My hands clenched into fists. My legs moved before I could stop them, carrying me toward her. With every step, the sight in front of me became more unbearable. She touched his arm, laughed again. Something inside me snapped. "So this is how it is?" My voice came out louder than I intended, making both of them turn toward me. She froze. I saw the panic in her eyes, and for a second, it made me feel something sickly satisfying. She still cared. The guy, on the other hand, frowned in confusion. "Do we have a problem, man?" he asked, his tone annoyingly casual. I let out a dry, bitter laugh. "You have no idea what you're getting yourself into." She immediately stood up, stepping between us. "You need to leave." That her voice was shaky but firm. That only made me angrier. "You want me to leave?" I took a step forward, locking eyes with her. "After everything we've been through? After everything I've done for you?" She took a deep breath, and for a moment, I thought she was going to cry. "I never wanted anything with you, Duck." Her voice was cold, sharp. A sharp pain shot through my chest. "Liar. You're only saying that because he's here." Her so-called boyfriend pulled her back slightly, trying to move her away from me. "Dude, walk away before I make you." I looked at him with complete disgust. "You are nothing to her. You think you know what she likes, what she needs. I know her better than anyone." She grabbed his arm, clearly in a rush to get away. "Let's go now." She was running away again. I couldn't let that happen. "You think you can just erase me from your life? Like I never existed? Like everything I did for you meant nothing?" I took another step forward, and that was when she pulled out her phone and started dialing frantically. "If you take one more step, I'm calling the police." I laughed again, but this time there was a lump in my throat. "You're really doing this?" She didn't answer. She just pressed the phone to her ear, and as soon as someone picked up, she spoke quickly and clearly. "I need help. There's a guy stalking me. He won't leave me alone. I'm in front of the arts building, and he's here right now." My chest rose and fell rapidly. Everything was crumbling. She was betraying me in the worst way possible. And then I did what I should have done earlier. I left, but it didn't end there. That night, around 9, my mom opened the door to find a police officer standing outside. My stomach twisted instantly. "We're here to speak with your son." She called me over, and when I walked into the room, 2 officers were standing at the entrance. "You've been reported for harassment and stalking," one of them said bluntly. I felt the air leave my lungs. "This is insane," I shouted. "There is an official complaint on record, along with witnesses. The behavior described in the report is alarming and unacceptable. We're here to serve you a restraining order." I blinked, struggling to process the words. "A what?" "A restraining order. Effective immediately, you are legally prohibited from approaching her. You must stay at least 300 meters away from her at all times. You may not contact her in any way. No messages, no calls, no social media." My mom gasped, covered her mouth in horror. "This must be a mistake," she whispered, looking at me with wide, terrified eyes. "It's not a mistake, ma'am. Your son has displayed concerning behavior." The other officer handed me a document. "You need to read and sign this, confirming that you understand the restrictions. If you violate this order, you could be arrested." My dad, who had been silent until then, crossed his arms and gave me a look I had never seen before. "What did you do?" I opened my mouth to defend myself, to explain, to say this was all blown out of proportion. But the look in my mother's eyes made me stop. She was afraid. Afraid of me. My hand trembled as I signed the paper. The officers gave me one final warning before leaving. As the door shut, a suffocating silence filled the house. "Oh my God," my mom whispered, as if she couldn't believe what had just happened. My dad didn't stop staring at me. "This is serious," he said, his voice hard and without a trace of sympathy. "Really serious." I wanted to scream, to punch something, to make them understand. But I knew, at that moment, no one would believe me. They all thought I was the monster in this story. And that was unforgivable. When the police left, the house fell into silence. My mother was still sitting on the couch, her trembling hand covering her mouth, as if she was trying to hold back tears. My father stood with his arms crossed, looking at me like I was a stranger. I had never seen that look on his face before. It wasn't anger. It wasn't disappointment. It was fear. "Sit down," he said, his voice firm but calm. I obeyed. My legs felt like they were made of lead. The weight of the night was still pressing down on me. The restraining order, the police officer's stares, the way my mother shook. I couldn't believe things had escalated this far. My mother took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "Son," her voice cracked, "what happened to you?" I opened my mouth to respond, but my father cut me off. "No excuses. Don't say it was a misunderstanding. Don't say it was her fault. Just listen." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. We never raised you to act like this. We never taught you that love is forced, that it's something you win by persistence. What you did, it was wrong. My stomach twisted. I just wanted to show her I was the right guy. My father shook his head, frustrated. And what if she didn't want you to be the right guy? I looked at the floor. She didn't want it. She just didn't know. No. He answered immediately, his voice firm. She knew. You were the one who refused to accept it. My mother finally found her voice. Do you really think what you did was normal, son? Following her everywhere, waiting outside her home, leaving gifts she never asked for? That's not romance, that's... She hesitated, like she didn't want to say the word. But I knew what she meant. That's what? That's being a monster? My father sighed, running a hand over his face. We're not saying you're a monster, but you were acting like one. My stomach churned. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to say they were overreacting, that I had only done what any guy in love would do. But for the first time, I saw the terror in my mother's eyes, the firmness in my father's voice. And I knew they were right. I had crossed the line. I wasn't some horror movie villain, some dangerous psycho, but I had stepped into a place I should have never gone. And now it was too late. My mother wiped her eyes and sighed. We can't stay here. I lifted my head. What? You have a restraining order. If you go near her, you could be arrested. And if that happens, there's no turning back. My father nodded. We're moving. We'll start packing tomorrow. My eyes widened in disbelief. This is ridiculous. You can't just make me leave everything behind. You don't have a choice, my father said, his voice leaving no room for argument. This isn't a punishment. It's a chance for you to change, to grow up. Because if you keep going down this path, one day you're going to cross a line that even we can't save you from. I wanted to scream, to fight, to tell them it wasn't fair. But there was nothing I could do. The only thing I could do was leave. The first few months in the new city were hell. I felt like an exile, a fugitive. I hated everything. The new school, the people, the way my parents treated me like I was made of glass. I avoided talking to anyone, spent most of my time locked in my room. But as time passed, something strange started to happen. I started seeing the world differently. Without her, without the obsession, without the idea that I had to be the perfect guy for someone. And then, little by little, I started to realize just how wrong I had been. I had always believed that all men were cheaters, that relationships were toxic games where I was the only exception. I thought women were surrounded by jerks, by guys who hurt them, and that I was the only one who truly deserved them. But no, the guys I saw around me, the ones in relationships, the ones who respected their girlfriends and lived their lives without obsessing over them, they weren't the villains I had imagined. They were just normal guys. They were just people in normal relationships, without needing to force anything. Reality hit me hard one day as I watched a couple sitting in the park near my school. They were laughing, talking, completely comfortable with each other. And then I understood. He didn't have to insist. He didn't have to follow her. He didn't have to convince her that he was the right guy. She just liked him, because that's how love works. And at that moment, everything clicked. I had never been in love with that girl. I had been in love with the idea of being the only good guy. I had lived in a fantasy where I was the protagonist, the chosen one, the hero that every woman should want. And if someone didn't want me, it was because she was confused. But that wasn't love. That was ego. That was obsession. That was terrifying. It took me years to admit it. Years to realize how wrong I had been. But when I finally did, something inside me changed forever. I never wanted to be that guy again. I never wanted to be a monster again. As time passed, and I matured, seeing the world without the filter of obsession, old memories started resurfacing. Memories that, at the time, seemed normal, even romantic, but now filled me with unbearable shame. I began to realize that the girl from college wasn't the first. I had done this before. This wasn't just an isolated mistake. One time, back in high school, I saw a new girl at the gym. She was training in a volleyball jersey with her name printed on the back. Immediately, I was interested. I wanted to know her, wanted her to notice me, wanted to be part of her life. But instead of simply talking to her like a normal person, what did I do? I waited until she finished her workout and left. Then I went to the front desk and asked to see the gym's membership files, pretending I was looking up the name of a cousin who wanted to sign up. I was only looking for her full name. As soon as I found her information, I memorized her name and rushed to Instagram. It took me less than 5 minutes to find her profile. Without us ever speaking, without her even knowing I existed, I already knew where she studied, who her friends were, her hobbies, and the places she liked to visit. I spent days looking at her posts before finally getting the courage to follow her. And when she followed me back, I felt that same twisted sense of euphoria. To me, It meant she was interested. I started replying to her stories, subtly commenting on things she liked, pretending we had the same interests. She was polite, but never seemed as enthusiastic as I expected. So I escalated things. I started going to the gym at the same time as her. Made sure to use the machines next to hers. Tried making conversation, but she always gave short answers, staring at her phone or leaving quickly. In my head, it was because she was shy, because she didn't know how to react to the attention of a guy who actually cared. Now I know she was uncomfortable. She just wanted to work out in peace. She probably got chills whenever she saw my name pop up in her notifications. I've never forgotten that. I've never forgotten the day she unfollowed me. Back then, I was furious. I thought it was unfair that she hadn't even given me a chance. But now I understand. She just wanted me gone. And then, more memories started coming back. I remembered a girl from my school that I had a crush on. She was nice, kind, laughed at my jokes. I swore she liked me, but I never had the courage to confess. So instead, I started following her around the hallways, sitting near her in the cafeteria, always coincidentally showing up where she was. I kept waiting for the perfect moment for her to realize we were meant to be together. It never happened. She started avoiding me, stopped laughing at my jokes, switched seats in class to be further away from me. And when she finally got a boyfriend, I felt betrayed. I convinced myself she was making a mistake, that she had chosen the wrong guy. So I did what I'd already done so many times before. I stayed close. I lingered in places where I knew they would be, watching from a distance, always waiting for her to realize she was wrong and come back to me. She never did. But now, thinking back on it, something else haunts me even more. And that's the girl from college. The one who got the police involved. The one I had to leave behind when we moved. Back then, I believed she had found another guy simply because she hadn't realized I was the right one yet. But now, I wonder if she never actually wanted to be with that guy. Maybe she used him as a shield to protect herself from me. Maybe she had to pretend to love him because she felt like that was the only way to make me stop. The thought destroys me. The fear she must have felt. The anxiety of realizing she couldn't just tell me no and move on with her life. The way she probably had to change her routine, find ways to avoid me, live with the constant fear of running into me again. I have never forgiven myself for that. And it wasn't just that one time. There were countless other times when I acted the same way. Situations that, back then, seemed harmless, but now I see them for what they really were. Like the time I took a girl's number from a WhatsApp group because a friend left his phone unlocked. Or when I pretended to need help in a subject just so I could sit next to a girl who always looked uncomfortable around me. Or when I kept messaging a coworker, insisting that we should go out, even after she said she was busy. And worst of all, the way I always justified my behavior. I always saw myself as the good guy, the romantic one, the one who just needed a chance. But I was never that guy. I was someone terrifying. I was someone suffocating. I was the guy women wanted to escape from, and realizing that destroyed me. Because no one made me this way. It was me. I was the one who fed into this mindset. I was the one who refused to accept when someone wasn't interested. I was the one who turned other people's lives into nightmares, thinking it was love. And the worst part, I could never undo what I had done. The regret came too late. Sometimes when I'm lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling in silence, the thoughts come back. That university, that girl, that boy I used to be. These memories never really disappear. No matter how many years have passed, no matter how much I've changed, no matter how different my life is now, they're always there in some quiet corner of my mind, like an invisible weight I carry, even if no one else can see it. And no matter how much I've tried to move forward, there's one thing I've never been able to do. I've never apologized, no matter how much I've wanted to. No matter how many times I've thought about looking her up, writing her a message, trying to explain that I finally understand what I did. But that would be selfish, because apologizing wouldn't be to ease her pain. It would be to ease mine. And she doesn't owe me that. She doesn't need to know that I've changed, that I regret what I did, that I've become a better person. That wouldn't undo my actions. It wouldn't erase the fear she felt. It wouldn't give her back the months she spent anxious, trying to escape me. The truth is, some things can't be fixed, and I have to live with that. Today, I'm approaching 30. A lot has changed since back then. I'm a different man, or at least I try to be. I've been in a relationship for years now. My girlfriend is an incredible woman. Strong, independent, confident. She loves me, and I love her in a way that, back then, I wouldn't have even understood. A love that doesn't suffocate. That doesn't need control. That doesn't demand obsession. She's not my possession, not a prize I won, not a character in a story I created. She's her own person, with her own desires, her moments of silence, her insecurities, and her strengths. And for the first time in my life, I love someone the right way. But this change didn't happen overnight. It only happened because at some point, life forced me to face who I had been. When I moved out of my parents' house, when I had to fend for myself, when I had to learn what it truly meant to be a man, that's when everything started to change. I realized that no one owed me anything, that I wasn't the protagonist of the world, that I wasn't special just for being a nice guy. Life taught me some hard lessons. Working, paying bills, handling real responsibilities, all of it pulled me out of the delusion I had lived in. Before, I thought I deserved love. Later, I learned that love isn't something you deserve. It's something you build. It's not something you demand. It's something you give. Maturity taught me to recognize that what I used to do wasn't love, it was possession. It was a desperate attempt to validate my own existence through someone else, to feel special because someone chose me. Today, I'm happy. My life no longer revolves around someone else. I don't obsess over anyone anymore. I have a woman by my side because she chose to be here, not because I convinced her, not because I pressured her, not because I made her feel obligated to like me. And that makes all the difference. But even now, even after all this time, those thoughts still come back sometimes. Those memories still haunt me. There's no exact day, no specific trigger. It just happens. Sometimes it's when I'm watching a movie and there's a scene where a woman feels uncomfortable around a man who won't take no for an answer. Sometimes it's when my girlfriend tells me about a friend who had a guy that just wouldn't give up. Sometimes it's just a regular day and my mind decides to revisit the past. And then I think of her. I think of what it must have been like for her. The fear, the anxiety, the frustration of trying to live her life while someone constantly hovered over her, insisting that he knew what was best for her. How many times did she change her routine just to avoid me? How many nights did she sleep worried, staring at the door to her dorm room, wondering if I would leave another note? How many conversations did she have with her friends about how to make me go away? I wonder if she still remembers me. If I'm just a shadow from her past, a small detail from a bad time that she barely thinks about anymore. Or if, every now and then, she still remembers. If sometimes she recalls that persistent boy and feels a shiver of discomfort. I'll never know. I'll never have the right to ask. I'll never get to say I'm sorry, because it wouldn't change anything. Because she moved on, and so did I. But no matter how much I've changed, no matter how much I've learned, I will never forget. And maybe that's the way it has to be.